See everyone in New Orleans. How about that, Reuben?
How about that? Third time in 8 years, Eagles are going to the Super Bowl. It's a pretty amazing story. So many great stories today and this year, and we'll get to as many as we can.
55-23, they beat the Washington Commanders. The rubber match between these two teams. It was chippy, like we anticipated, but the Commanders were no match today.
Yeah, that's a lot of points, Dave.
Yeah, 55.
That's a lot of points.
The old double nickel up there.
Yeah, half 100. Second most points Eagles have ever scored in a postseason game. Scored 58 against the Lions in the 95 wild card game, but most ever in a conference championship game. Just so many. It just struck me that everything the Eagles do well, they did like extraordinarily well in this game, and it added up to a commanding win. It was something else. It was
that a
impressive.
pun?
I didn't even think of that actually, but it was. That was not my score. Well, the 23 is close, but yeah, it was not my score exactly. I thought they were going to win. I didn't see this coming.
Yeah, the point spread right before the game was 6. I mean, to win 55-23, and that's a team that earned its trip to the NFC Championship game. They won 2 games on the road. They played well, obviously, in both of those. They have a star young quarterback. They have some real pieces over there, and the Eagles just dismantled them today.
Yeah, I think part of it, I think it's just tough to, Eagles are playing their 5th straight game at home. They've been on the road, but I just think the Eagles are a better team, and it showed. And, he wasn't going to throw 5 touchdowns again. I don't want to say that was a fluky ending that fourth quarter, but it was kind of.
It definitely was. And remember in that game, there was no Jalen Hurts after the first quarter. You had the Reed Blankenship interception that we thought was going to end it, and it didn't. I think the Eagles wanted to see this team again.
I don't think there's any question. And they played like it. And they played like they had something to avenge. And, 4 takeaways. In the postseason, the Eagles have 10 takeaways and no turnovers.
It's unbelievable. We can talk about all the other stuff, but to do that, you're probably going to win the game.
Yeah. Yeah. To be plus 10, and that's like the 5th highest ever. Now, obviously, it could change. It probably will change. But I think since the bye week, there's something like plus 27 in turnover margin. It's crazy. It's like 32-5. I mean, it's nuts. As much as, and I think it all goes together as far as running the ball, playing defense, and not being super risky. Now they did throw the ball downfield a little more today. I didn't consider them risky throws, but they were a little more aggressive. And I think they felt like they needed to be against this team, but it's all part of the formula of winning, which is protecting the ball, forcing turnovers, getting efficient play from the quarterback, and letting Saquon eat. It's a simple and elegant and almost impossible to defeat formula.
It's amazing. The last 3 NFC Championship games in that building have just become a party late in the game. It's unbelievable. You think about the one over the Vikings and then the 49ers, and then this one, they scored 55 points in this one. But I mean, it's incredible that they're not just getting to the Super Bowl when they had the opportunity. They're beating up on teams.
And the one before that was 04 in that building. So yeah, I don't remember much about it. It was at the Atlanta game when Doc, the Algie Crumpler hit. The 04 NFC Championship game. But yeah, it was really cool. And it's just like nobody wanted to go home. The atmosphere was just electrifying. And, Will Shipley gets that big run. It's just like the most improbable, kind of like exclamation point on a playoff game you could have. Will Shipley going 57 yards was not on my bingo card. But it really struck me. Did you see Saquon celebrating?
On that long run, Saquon ran all the way down to the 10-yard line. And then after the touchdown, he ran on the field to celebrate with him.
I think that just says so much about this team and the team first mentality. I mean, we haven't seen Saquon that happy all year. Like not after all his long runs or 200-yard games or touchdowns. All these guys are such team players. And, Zach Bonds, I think it was Clarkey that interviewed him. It was Ashlyn on the field. And she's like asking him about his season. And he's like, it's not about me. It's not about me. And everybody was saying something along those lines. It's just such a team. It's such a group of guys that play for each other. And I know that's a cliche and everybody says that, but it's really true. I mean, they, down to Jalen sitting up there saying, I just don't care about my stats, which is true and bothers me. But I mean, we should all care about our stats. But they really have taken on that persona, and I just think it serves them really well. They're playing for each other, not themselves.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I had a really funny moment with Brendan Graham, and we'll get to all the individual game stuff in a minute. But in the locker room after the game, waiting to interview him, and he kind of turns the tables on me and says, "Did you think we would be here?" I said, "Did today?"
We ran that on post game.
Did you run the whole thing?
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, I thought you'd win today." He goes, "No, before that." I said, "When?" And he said, 2-2. I said, "No." No.
Yeah.
I mean, at 2-2, we were talking about whether or not the head coach was going to make it out of this season.
Out of the bye week.
Yeah. I mean, the thought that this team is in the Super Bowl right now. Look, I know they have an amazing collection of talent. And for the most part this season, they were not underdogs. They like to play that role.
Sure.
They were not. They were favored in most of these games. They were like an incredibly talented team with a lot of the guys who had been to a Super Bowl already. But when this team was 2-2, yeah, of course there was a lot of doubt. Like the way this thing was setting up, it didn't look great. It looked like it was a failed experiment to bring the head coach back. And that was like everything, like we were talking about that on this podcast.
Yeah.
And to think about how far they've come since, obviously you rattle off 10 straight wins after that, it changes everything. But that early bye week might have saved this whole season.
I don't think there's any question. And when the schedule came out, from April through the end of training camp, the whole thing was that bye is too early, but it might've been the perfect time.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun looking at everyone celebrating on the field, in the locker room, passing around the trophy. Is it the George Halas trophy?
Yeah. Or is it? It's not the Burt Bell trophy. Is it George Halas trophy? I think you're probably right.
I think it's the George Halas trophy. Everyone passing it around. I took a photo of the linebackers celebrating with it. Like, man, what a game they had.
Yeah.
You see, I know you probably don't even know who Gilly the Kid is, but he's in the locker room going crazy. The team was like,
Barrett explained it to me, and I still don't know who he is.
Yeah, I'm glad Barrett had that job and not me. But like the team was a fun celebratory atmosphere in that locker room. But I thought it was really cool that Nick Sirianni said, like, as he's watching the scene, he's like, thinking about the next game. Because like a lot of the guys, it's a first for them. But for the guys who haven't, or the guys who have already been there, I mean, there's one left. You got to go win it all.
Yeah. It was funny. I think the first question of Nick in his presser was, and I hate this question, but somebody always asks, what was your message to the team? And it's just like this fallback question when you don't have anything else to ask. And somebody asked, what was your message to the team after the game? He said, I didn't have a message. They're all just in there celebrating. I was just watching. It's like I didn't have a message.
Yeah, it's a cool scene. Everyone's taking photos together. They're celebrating, and they should be. But like pretty quick here.
24-hour rule.
Yeah, you got to get over it. You got a football game to win in 2 weeks in New Orleans.
Yeah, Barrow was saying how when the Steelers made the Super Bowl, there was only the 1 week. So there was basically, you celebrated after the game for an hour, and then you were going to watch film and heading down to wherever it was. But I've covered a couple of those 1 week Super Bowls. I like this a lot better. I just think it gives teams a chance to heal up and kind of reset and, take a few days off. I'm guessing the Eagles will be off a few days. 2022, they practiced Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then flew out Sunday to Arizona. So I'm guessing, Nick does the same thing every year. So I'm guessing that's what they'll do. We'll see. But yeah, they deserve to celebrate for today and maybe some of tomorrow.
Yeah. It was certainly cool. Where do we even begin with this game? First, I want to mention, my big thing. I always talk about complimentary football.
Yep.
That was complimentary football. Maybe not early on because Saquon scored too quick. The defense had to be like, I got to go back out on this field right now.
They put up a funny graphic on the broadcast. It was like, it was like number of plays, time of possession, and points. And it was like 18, 7:52, 3. And then it was 1, like 18 seconds, 7. It was great. but man, he did it again. First play of the game. It's nuts.
Unreal. Yeah. And it was funny because it was right after that crazy long drive. It was 7-minute drive for the Commanders. Then Saquon busts a 60-yard run, and the defense has to be like, all right, here we go. We got to, even Zach Baum was like, we were watching him. He scored too quick. We got to get back out there. But the complimentary football, the Eagles force 4 turnovers in this game. They score touchdowns on all 4 of those ensuing drives.
Yeah, that was I wrote about that. My obs. I mean, that's complimentary football to a T. They had some shorter drives. The turnovers, I think the first 3 were forced fumbles. It was just physicality, just being physical. And man, some of those, it looked like Washington wasn't even ready to play, honestly. In like Eckler's fumble, couple of the fumbles looked like they were just kind of, they looked tentative to me. And I know they're trying to be chippy and physical and the tougher team, but you got to take care of basics first. And I thought the Eagles were just the aggressor physically against a team that's really been pretty physical this year.
Yeah, I mean, you start off with that Zach Bond one. That's a great punch out. The Will Shipley one on the kickoff. What a game for Will Shipley. This was the Will Shipley game.
It really was.
And the cool thing about that one was Kenny Gainwell recovered it.
Yeah.
So you have like 2 smaller guys out there making plays.
I think this game will forever be known as the Shipley Bowl.
I like that. That's not bad. Then the Oren Burks forced fumble that Zach Bond recovered.
He had a long kick return too, in addition to that 57-yard
35 yards.
Yeah.
And then the last one was Quinion. They hadn't tested Quinion all game, and then they do, and he comes up with the interception. Yeah, it's 2 in the postseason after getting shut out all seasons.
Has that ever happened? You know who's going to look that up. It was
no doubt you'll look that up.
It was, and it's just an acrobatic interception and doing the things that we thought he would do all year. I mean, he had an incredible year, but he's really showing his ability to make those big plays. Yeah. Will Shipley just had more yards than Terry McLaurin in this game.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So, I thought the secondary was. I mean, there was the one play to McLaurin, and there were a couple other plays, but I thought the secondary was terrific.
It's just unbelievable that like the Eagles put together this type of game in their biggest moment.
Yeah.
Because look, they won a lot of games this year. They were the 2 seed. It's been a while since they just like had an all-around dominant game like this in every aspect.
Yeah.
And that's, look, in the playoffs, that really doesn't matter as much. You're just trying to scratch and claw and advance, but to have this type of performance in the NFC Championship game. And look, we talked about this all week. We've talked about it all year. Like, is the passing offense going to be there when they need it to be there? And the Eagles were confident it would be. And I was like, I'll believe it when I see it. Oh, they were right. I'm an idiot. It looked great.
No, they were fair questions. And I thought Jalen was magnificent today. I really did. I thought he made enough plays down the field to, I just thought he was going to have to make some, and he did. And I thought he looked fluid running. He had the one TD called back, but 3 touchdowns. What did he throw for 250, something like that?
246.
Which
is funny because it still keeps the stat of him throwing for under 250. They win all their playoff games.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
No, I just thought he made some really good throws to AJ, certainly to Dallas, a couple to Devontae. I'm looking for the last time they really they blew out the Cowboys. They beat the Steelers by 14.
Rams game.
It's really the
Ravens.
The 2 Cowboys games. And you go back to that first Giants game, but I don't even.
Well, the Ravens game was an all around.
Yeah, it was close though. They scored at the end.
It was a good team.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the offense in general, because I don't know if you guys were carrying on post game Jalen Hurts comments, but he was asked about the praise Nick Sirianni
gave. He was
gave.
effusive. Jalen was tonight.
Mm-hmm. Well, he said like Nick, he's done a great job, and then he said, "I guess he let me out of my straitjacket tonight," which tells you about like what this offense has been. It's been really conservative by nature because they have a good defense. They have Saquon Barkley, but Jalen didn't want to elaborate on that comment.
Of course not.
He wanted to keep the riddle alive, but we saw it today. He had to throw the ball, and he looked great doing it, and he looked healthy. There was that early scramble, and that was the first time you thought, "Oh, he can move." We weren't sure.
Yeah.
After the game, he talked about how much it took for him to get ready for this one. Not only the left knee, he admitted he's been sick this week, which we heard on the Friday press conference. He didn't sound great. So
Yeah.
he said it was a tough week, an exhausting week, but man, he played great.
Yeah, 3 more rushing touchdowns, two tush pushes, and one in the open field. You can't ask for more. And he's got that streak of passes without an interception up to what's 178 and 28 to 206. 206. It's the second longest streak. He's only 9 behind Drew Brees for who has the record. And he's the first quarterback ever to play 7 straight postseason games and throw 20 passes or more in each one and not throw interception. Really good postseason quarterback. And I thought he was better than really good. I agree. I think he had to be more. I think they went in thinking we have to be more aggressive. As it turned out, maybe they didn't. I don't know. I don't know what the game would have looked like, but I felt like against Washington's offense, considering what they have and the way they've been scoring points, I thought they were going to have to get the ball down.
Honestly, I thought Dan Quinn turtled early in this game. He was going for it on fourth, going for it on fourth. Then he had a 4th and 3?
Might have been 4, but yeah.
And he kicks that field goal. I thought that was a really bizarre decision for a guy who's been kind of gambling all year. And then he gets, the back's against the wall and he calls for that fake punt, which was a good call. But, I mean, that was more desperation than aggressive.
Yeah, it was, 4th and 3. Yeah, that was a little surprising. I guess he just wanted to get some points on the board. I don't know what he's thinking. Maybe he talked.
Man, that's a big win for the Eagles.
Absolutely.
The Commanders go on a 7-minute drive and they give up a field goal.
Absolutely felt like it was a win for the Eagles. And then obviously it's a 7-3 game. Half a minute later.
Yeah, I mean, let's
worse.
Yeah, so Jalen Hurts 20 for 28, 246 yards, the touchdown on the ground, 10 for 16, 3 touchdowns, 2 of them of the tush push variety. Saquon Barkley, 15 carries, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. His first career game with 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah. I haven't looked up yet the last time a team had 2 guys with 3 rushing touchdowns in a game, but I will probably
at some point.
Will
Shipley, 4 for 77 and a touchdown. Through the air, A.J. Brown, 6 catches on 8 targets, 96 yards and a touchdown. That is identical to his Super Bowl 57 stat line.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was good to see him get involved.
It was only a matter of time.
Yeah.
And like, I know we're all kind of wondering about the knee, but he looked pretty good today. That sideline ball from Jalen was a beautiful pass. Give Nick Sirianni credit going for that there. That 4th and 5.
Yeah.
They got up. Was it? Yeah, it was 4th and 5. They got up to the 4th and 5. Yeah, I think
it was 4th and 5. Yeah. I
think it was 4th and 5. They got up to the line. Like, I'm thinking they're trying to draw them off. They're not going to actually run a play.
Right.
Give him credit for going for it. Now, and it's funny because the deep ball from Jalen to AJ is a high percentage play for them. Overall, that's like probably not the play call you go with in that moment. But get AJ Brown 1-on-1, you take it, even against Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. By the way, only second time in NFL history teams had 2 guys with 3 touchdowns in the same game. The other time it happened
in a playoff game?
In any game.
In any game.
Yeah, it's never happened in the postseason. The Chiefs in 2004, Derek Blaylock.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember Derek Blaylock. He went to Stephen F. Austin. Looks like he might have been there at the same time as Trott and Priest Holmes. So that's how rare it is. I mean, I'll bet there haven't been that many playoff games where 2 guys had 2 touchdowns. I'm going to look that up. But yeah, 6. So yeah, that's only happened 5 times in a postseason. But 6 rushing touchdowns, and is or was it 7? How many rushing touchdowns they have? I just lost track here.
7, because Will Shipley had the.
That's right,
touchdown.
The one at the end. Mm-hmm. 7 rushing touchdowns in the game,
and he threw for 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dallas Goedert, another big game, 7 for 85.
So good.
Devontae, 4 for 45, and he had the one where he kind of like dipped a little bit and got around him. Then they got the late hit on Saquon too on the sideline.
Can we just talk about Goddard for a second?
Sure.
He did not have a good regular season, but man, these 3 playoff games.
Yeah,
I mean, he was okay when he did play. He had
that big Rams game.
Had the one huge game against the Rams, but he missed almost half the season. But he has been money in the postseason, not just this year, like throughout his career. So maybe not his rookie year in 18, but this is now 9 straight games with 4 catches or more, which is the 7th longest streak in history, 2nd longest by a tight end behind Kelsey. Maybe that'll end tonight, but probably not. But yeah, just you just love how Jalen in those key situations is just looking for Goddard. And they ran him on a couple of jet sweeps. What was that?
He only had one carry in his career before today.
He had two.
Kellen Moore was in his bag a little bit
Yeah.
in this game. Now, the Eagles did struggle with some blitz in this game, some blitzes, but I think that was more like Frankie Louvu was timing the snap count.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
He is.
Don't like him.
Pretty funny on the goal line. We'll talk about that. But
my favorite thing that's ever happened in a football game.
I did not know the rule that the officials can actually award a touchdown there.
That was like, I've never seen a team get sent to the principal's office during a game like that. It was unbelievable.
That was. We'll get into that in a bit. But as far as Goddard, I just, and we saw Ertz certainly have a huge game. He's still really good. I hope he continues playing. But just Goddard is Mr. Postseason. And he's got more catches than anybody in Eagles history. Now he's like 10 up on the field. Just comes up big every week in the playoffs, and I think he'll be huge down in New Orleans.
Yeah, they lose Kenny Gainwell in this game, a concussion. You never know, but I saw him walking around celebrating after. So hopefully, yeah, 2 weeks he'll be good to go for Super Bowl 59.
And if he's not, their other running back has a career postseason rushing average of 19.3 yards per carry.
It's not bad. Talk about center a little bit. Yeah. They come into this game. Cam Jurgens listed as questionable. We were out in the field. We were watching him go through his pregame workout. Didn't look good. We got word that he wasn't going to play.
And kind of see.
Yeah, it didn't look good.
He went up to Stoutland and he just went inside.
Yeah. And then that's when Landon came out and started snapping the ball. It was funny because I was told he wasn't going to play, and then I was like, well, he's going to be active. He's going to be emergency.
Yeah.
And they had to use him.
And that was smart to have him up.
Yeah. So Lennon Dickerson ended up with a knee injury. He had a brace on after the game, limping around. He has 2 weeks now to heal up. They're going to need him. They're going to need Cam. It's nice that they don't have to play in a week. They're really going to benefit from the bye week before the Super Bowl. But both of them fought through injuries to get this game done.
Yeah.
Landon in the first half, and then Cam, I can't believe he played.
I know.
Based on what we saw in pregame, that's like, and people might not realize that was an unbelievable effort.
Yeah, he might have taken a couple Anison before that, a couple Bayers. He was just. And did you see his interview after the game? He got so emotional, talking about what it meant to be out there for his teammates. And he said, I just wasn't going to let my brothers down. And he started talking about how much he loves the city, how much he loves the team, how happy he was to be drafted here. And he was just looking around like the stands were still full and everyone was cheering. He was on the field during the interview. I think it was with Ashlyn. And, we know Cam, he's not that kind of guy. I mean, he's a country farmer boy from Nebraska.
Pretty matter of fact at all times.
Yeah, but he was like tearing up. And it was kind of cool to see him that way.
And you know what? Like we talk about it a lot, but he deserves so much credit for to come in here and replace Jason Kelce. It's an insane task. Yeah. It's a guy who's like, not only is he maybe the best center to ever play the game, he's like this folk hero in this town, and you got to replace that guy.
Yeah,
now, I think it helped that they played with each other and they're friends, but. I mean, a lot of guys would crumble under that pressure.
I don't think there's any question. He's handled it so well. And I think his personality is one of the reasons they kind of thought he could do that, just because nothing, he's just not plus. Nothing seems to plus him. He is just very, very even keel. I've never seen him so emotional, but you're right. And he's played really well. He made a Pro Bowl, and he's had Kelce's support, and Kelce's been really, he's been available for him. And man, does Kelce do a lot of commercials or what? Who does more commercials, Kelce or Snoop Dogg? Like, you can't find a commercial that one of those two is not on.
He does a lot.
Anyway, couldn't agree more about Cam.
Yeah. I thought Kellen Moore had a good game.
Yeah.
Man, he had a really good game. And we've given Kellen the business at times this year, even during the week, talking about this passing game and how it looked at times. I thought he had a great game plan today. The only issues, a little bit of blitz issues and them timing up the snap count. But, man, I thought he caught a great game.
Yeah, I do too.
One of his best of the year.
I agree. Yeah, I thought
he says after they score 55 points, but it's more, more than the obvious.
Yeah, I thought so too. And I thought he mixed things up really well. And I thought he really understood the challenge of facing Washington. It's different than the challenge of facing the Packers and the Rams and most of the teams they've played lately. That running it 50 times and throwing it 15 times probably isn't going to work. So we got to be different, and I think he was.
Looking at the final numbers here, the Eagles had 459 yards of offense. They were 7 for 7 in the red zone.
Yeah,
I mean that's unbelievable.
What's unbelievable is that
28 first downs.
That's a lot of first downs.
They averaged 7 yards per play.
Yeah, I'm gonna have fun with stats this week.
Yeah, I mean the stats are just unbelievable, and also give them credit for keeping their composure in this game. This was a game where we knew it was going to be chippy. We knew it was going to be back and forth, and it was one of the questions we had going in this game. Is like, are these teams going to be able to keep their composure? The Eagles did, and the Commanders didn't.
Yeah, I think we saw that, and I think I'm just looking for penalties here. Washington had 9 for 47. Eagles had 5 for 30, which is a little high, but it's manageable. I think part of Washington's MO is they want to take you out of your game by being physical and trying to lure you into penalties and just trying to play on the edge and get you to make mistakes that way. Just get out of what you'd like to do and take you out of your comfort zone. And they tried and they failed. They failed miserably at that.
What do you think Mike Evans was doing tonight watching this game when he sees AJ and Marshawn Lattimore go at it? Like, go AJ, go AJ. He probably got an AJ Brown jersey on.
Yeah, probably.
Anything else offensive? I mean, I feel like we could talk about the offense forever. It's just really encouraging to see it in this moment.
Yeah, I thought so. And I really like that matchup. I mean, Washington does not have a good defense. And they've won. I mean, when they've won, it's been because of their offense for the most part lately. So I just really like that matchup. And I think my prediction, I had the Eagles in the 30s. Now, they were in the 50s, so I was wrong.
They were in the 30s at one point.
At one point, they were. Actually, at one point in the fourth quarter, they were, I believe. So,
yep. 34 into the fourth.
34 into the fourth. They scored 21 in the fourth quarter. Wonder if any team's ever had 3 different guys score a rushing touchdown in the fourth quarter of a playoff game.
You might not get any sleep this week.
Might. I might do a stats piece every day this week.
This is like a stats heaven for you.
It really is.
We didn't have our first punt until the second half.
I saw you tweet about that or something. I was
Isn't that crazy?
I hadn't realized that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The punters were just hanging out for a while.
Yeah.
Game. And we knew the Commanders were going to be aggressive. And I think that's a good point that Nick ratcheted up his aggressiveness. I like that.
Yeah. I think he had to.
Mm-hmm. Anything else on offense?
No.
You want to hit?
No,
I liked that when that one touchdown to AJ Brown, they had him one-on-one against Mike Sanderstill, who's a good cornerback, but AJ's got the size.
Yeah.
I like them just taking a shot there.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Give him a chance to make a play.
Yeah, they were just locked in. And I mean, 27 points. I mean, they scored 27 in the first half, 28 in the second half. I mean, you just felt like they were going to score every time they had the ball. I haven't looked at the drive chart. Phil Anastasia told me.
I'll go through it. Drive chart here.
First thing you do when a game ends is you go to the drive chart.
Here, want me to go through it?
I got it.
Okay.
So they go touchdown, missed field goal. What did you think of going for that 53-yarder? Yeah. I was okay with it.
Yeah, I mean,
54-yarder.
It was 54. I think if you can't trust your kicker to make, like, what's he doing on the team?
Right.
Yeah, it was a bad sack to take on third down.
Yeah. He probably would have missed it anyway. First postseason kick.
Like, and that was like the one moment where having backups in there kind of hurt them, I think.
Yeah.
And also Grant Calcaterra in the backfield as a blocker. Probably not.
Yeah.
You want.
So then 2 more touchdowns and a half. So they've scored 4 touchdowns and had a missed field goal on their 5 first half drives. 2 of which followed turnovers or short fields. So 24-yard field and a 48-yard field. So then the second half starts. They punt on it was a 3 and out.
Quick 3 and out.
Really quick 3 and out. They didn't get any yards.
By the way, complimentary football. Eagles defense get a 3 and out right after that.
Yes, they did. I think it was a minus 3 and out. They lost 3 yards. Then they punt. They get good field position. I think they started on their own 42. Then they score, get a touchdown, punt on their next drive, and then finish the game with touchdown. And then a couple kneel downs that messed up Jalen's rushing average. And we'll have people saying, "Hey, you can't run anymore." So they scored 3, 4, 7, 8 touchdowns and you take away the end of the half, and you take away the end of the game. So they had 11 real drives and they scored 8 touchdowns. That's insane.
It's unreal.
Yeah, that's unreal.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. We'll talk defense, special teams. And by the end of this podcast, I think we'll know who their opponent is going to be in Super Bowl 59.
You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we've got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself and shop your local Nissan store and nissanusa.com today.
The Eagles defense forces 3 turnovers in this game, 2 forced fumbles, one by Zach Bond, one by Oren Burks, and then the interception from Quinyon. Sure, they gave up some yards in this game. Jaden Daniels threw for 255. He ran for 48.
Threw 48 times for that, by the way.
He did. He made some plays.
Yeah.
No question. He made some plays, but the Eagles did exactly what they needed to on defense. They made them dink and dunk. They made them earn everything. 23 points was not going to be enough in this game, and the Eagles defense came through.
Yeah, I just thought they were so good in coverage. Daniels he's really good. He's going to hit some plays, and obviously the McLaurin touchdown was their biggest play.
And Zach Ball missed the tackle. I was like,
he did.
What happened?
Yeah.
But it's funny to see a linebacker miss a tackle in Philadelphia and be like shocked by it.
Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, I think Oren Burks played really well and has now for a couple of games.
Well.
And that's, I don't want to look too far ahead, but we don't know if Nakobe Dean's going to be back. At one point, he will be back. Maybe it becomes a priority to get Oren Burks signed in addition to Zach Bond. But I love the way they pressured. I thought that they covered great. They were good on big fourth downs. They converted a few early, but I just liked everything they did. They were physical. Nolan Smith passed Reggie White in the all-time Eagles sack leaders. He's now second. He's got the second most sacks in Eagles history. It's astonishing.
What's he up to?
4.5. Because he had half last year against Tampa.
Okay.
He's got 4 this year in 3 games, and the only player with more in Eagles history is Brandon Graham, who had 5.5. Nolan might get that next week. He's just playing so well. He's just relentless, and he almost had another one. But man, he was the happiest after Jordan Davis' sack.
How about Jordan Davis? Hadn't had a sack since week 3.
Yeah,
that was a legit sack.
He was so happy.
He should be.
Yeah.
Look, he's not going to make a lot of those plays, but he made one in a big moment.
Yeah, but I thought they were really good against the run. I don't know what to find.
Yeah, they're like design run game. Brian Robinson had 11 for 36. Eckler had 8 for 15.
Yeah, and I thought, Eckler was a concern to me in the passing game, and he did nothing. He was 5 catches for 17 yards. I thought he looked tentative. He had a fumble. Their best 2 plays were the McLaurin touchdown and a fake punt. I like everything about what this defense did, and Jaden Daniels made a few plays with his feet, but 6 for 48, you'll take that, and I just don't see anything. And look, you give up 23 points, but I don't see anything that this defense did that I didn't love. I just thought they played a great game. Look, they're going to score. This team's good, and they won a lot of games this year, and they have some talented players. Ertz had a really nice game for them.
Yeah, 11 for 104.
Yeah, he can still play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he can still play. He was like their only receiver who, didn't seem tentative and just kind of. McLaurin didn't have a lot of opportunities. He didn't have a ton of targets. What do you have? 7, caught 3 balls. Other than the 1 touchdown, he only had 15 yards. Quinyon's just a beast.
They really didn't test Quinyon the whole game, and then at the end they tried, and he came up with the pick.
Yeah, he's so good. And I just like the physicality they played with, and that's how they got those fumbles and special teams too. One of the 4 turnovers on special teams. I love the way this defense is playing. And look, whoever they play next Sunday, a week from Sunday, is going to be a great quarterback, whether it's Mahomes or Josh Allen. But man, I love the way this defense is playing.
They're just aggressive. It's just, I mean, they kind of hit you in the mouth. And in this game, they did play a style where they were going to give up something. Like it was like, yeah, you're going to be able to get some yards on us, but we're going to hold. We're going to make you work for everything you get. And that was the first drive. I mean, the first drive of the game was so big for the totality of the game. They went 18 plays, 54 yards in 7 minutes and had to settle for a 34-yard field goal. You're not going to win this game like that.
What did you think of kicking the field goal there on fourth?
It was stupid.
I'm just, what was it? 4th and 5?
4th and 3. We went through
3.
Yeah.
4th and 3 on the 16. You're not.
It was very weird. He turtled in a weird moment there.
Yeah. I said to one of the tech guys who was in the studio, first half field goals get you beat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just felt like it. And then before I even said it, Saquon was gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was bad coaching. And I think he's a good coach, but
yeah, he pushed most of the right buttons all year.
Yeah, I didn't like that. And I think what you do in that situation, look, it's your first drive is really setting the tone for the game. And when you come out of there with 3, everybody in the Eagles defense was just like, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, you got that quarterback and it's 4th and 3. And you just drove. Yeah. Where did the drive start on there? 30? You just drove almost, the length of the field. I don't get it.
Yeah. So you had that one McLaurin play that wasn't great. And then the last drive of the first half, the Eagles, I thought, were a little too lax, letting them get down the field to kick that field goal.
Yeah.
And at that point, like, it was a close game. So, that
made it 27-15.
27-15. So that's a 2-score game at that point.
Yeah.
So I didn't love that, but I mean, I'm being very nitpicky because I thought the defense was excellent. I don't want to forget anyone, but I thought like CJ Gardner-Johnson had a couple big hits in this game. Reed Blankenship was everywhere he needed to be.
Yeah.
Up front, Jalen Carter's just he didn't have the numbers today, but he was an absolute menace. He jumped over a running back on a block.
Did he?
It was on. Yeah, he does like superhero stuff every game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they have an elite player at every level of this defense, and and they don't have a weakness. And I thought it would be Oren Burks, and he's played. I mean, what do you have? 9 tackles, a sack, a tackle for loss, a QB hit, a forced fumble. I mean, that's your backup linebacker. That's what Nakobe was doing, and oh man, that's just an incredible story.
Yeah, that is a great story.
Yeah.
Anything else? Defense.
Boy, I don't know. We mentioned everybody.
I'm trying. I don't want to forget anyone.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel this is what Nick goes through when he doesn't want to forget anyone.
He'll name everybody, and then he starts naming his college teammates. And, they just play so well together, and
they got to empty the bench in this game a little bit.
Yeah,
it's always a good thing. Nick Morrow got some defensive snaps. Sidney Brown was out there. Bryce Huff played 12 snaps in this game.
I saw him out there. Even James Bradbury got in the game.
That's not true.
I'm sorry. I like JB. I should. I'm not making fun. I'm just trying to be funny.
75 snaps for Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Reed Blankenship, CJ Gardner-Johnson, and Zach Bond. These are the early snap counts, so they might change a little bit. Slay played 72, came back in after that whatever injury he had.
Yeah, I didn't even see him go out at the mercy of the TV.
Yeah, defense.
Yeah,
special teams kind of an up and down game. The 54-yard miss, not ideal. You'd like him to make that. It had enough leg, went wide right, which is he's missed a lot wide left this year. This one was a wide right. He changed it up.
Yeah, so that's good. At least he's.
I don't know. Like I don't want to kill him for missing a 54-yard field goal, but early in this game, you're thinking, man, those points are big.
Yeah, and 54-yard field goals these days that's like a 75% kick, and he's just not hitting them.
Yeah, I had no issue with Nick electing to kick that field goal.
Same.
Okay.
No, I agree with what you said earlier. If you can't run him out there in that situation and kick a layup, and that's a layup these days, why is he on the roster?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
I
like the return game.
Yeah, let's do negative first, because there were the fake punt. It was clear that something was up with that. I think they got to be more alert there.
Yeah,
Jeremiah Trotter, I think that was his guy that kind of leaked. Great pass from Tress Way.
It was
a hose, man.
Yeah, he had a higher passer rating than Jaden Daniels.
So you don't like that. And then there was the one punt, Keeley. Man, it was so close. He almost didn't touch that.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but I finally saw a replay where he did touch it, I think.
So the rule is obviously if he doesn't touch it, it doesn't matter that he stepped on the but he's got to be more aware. And he's a really good special team.
Oh, he's played great all year.
But he's got to be aware if you're going to bat that ball, if you're going to try to bat that ball, you got to make sure you didn't step on the goal line.
Yeah. But there was plenty of good in this game. I thought Brady Mann's punts were good. The Will Shipley return was good. And then Will Shipley punching the ball out on a kickoff. A lot of good in special teams.
Shipley ball. Yeah. No, I liked most of it. And I'm trying to think in the return game. Yeah, Shipley had a 35. Isaiah had a 24. That's not I thought Cooper had a decent punt return. But yeah, not a lot to criticize.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else special teams wise. Here's one. At some point, Isaiah Rodgers is going to block a kick.
Come close.
He is. I mean, he gets around that corner so quick. He's fun like that.
Yeah. He's a valuable guy.
Now, I'll talk a little bit about what we heard after the game. Nick Sirianni really complimentary of Jalen Hurts. Says he's like, doesn't understand why there's all this talk about Jalen and the criticism. Jordan Mailata during the week said he doesn't care about any of the criticism.
It's not exactly what he said.
What?
He said, I don't give.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to
then
repeat
he apologized.
him.
Yeah.
But after the game, he brought it up again. It's like, they know about it. And I think it does bother some of the team because, and look, I get it from their perspective. I think sometimes there's a difference between like unwarranted criticism versus like, legitimate questions about how something looks.
Yeah.
And I think that they've seen both of those things, but to their credit, like, yeah, Jalen wins. Like, they find ways to win with him at quarterback, and I don't think he really cares what it looks like.
I don't either.
I know a lot of guys say that. He really doesn't.
He's only the 5th quarterback to go to 2 Super Bowls before his 27th birthday. I wonder if I can name the other 4. It's Mahomes, Roethlisberger, Russell Wilson, and I don't remember the 4th. I knew I'd forget one of them, but I will look it up.
While you're looking it up, this is from Elias. Jalen Hurts is the 8th.
Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah. He's pretty good. Hurts is the 8th quarterback in NFL history to reach multiple Super Bowls in their first 5 career seasons.
Similar stuff.
Similar, yeah. But, I mean, the names are who you think they'd be. Brady, Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Roethlisberger, Kurt Warner, Troy Aikman, and John Elway. 2 of those guys were in the building today. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Brady and Warner.
Yeah. And Hurts.
Yes. Brandon Graham, talked to him after the game. I told you about our little funny back and forth, but I asked him if there's any chance he could be ready for the Super Bowl. I know it's been a big topic around town. He didn't rule it out. He said on Monday, so after this game, he'll celebrate and go in. He said he'll find out more on Monday. I think it's still a long shot, but he didn't rule it out.
Yeah. He'd love to be out there, and it could be like a Willis Reed type moment if he did, but I just, that was a pretty serious injury. I think you really need power in your arms to be able to, rush a passer. And I just don't see opening up a roster spot if you're not going to get a real contribution from him. It's a fun thought. I'd love to see him out there, but yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's good. Who else do we talk to? Jalen Hurts mentioned the straitjacket comment. Nick let him out of his straitjacket. I thought that was very funny. In a way, he did. Like, it's been such a conservative offense for this entire year,
since the bye.
And look, it's worked. And no one's really complaining that much about it because they're winning games and Saquon's a workhorse. But yeah, I had legitimate questions whether or not this team could do what they did tonight.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did. I don't think there's anything wrong with that because it's just we haven't seen it. We saw it in the Pittsburgh game. He threw 30. He was 25 for 32, threw for 290 and a couple of touchdowns. Boy, we saw it in the first Washington game. That's it. I mean, that's really it. So, and he's gotten the ball in the end zone.
Yeah, he's gotten he's been able to do he's played efficient for the most part when he's been called upon, but they haven't really let him air it out very much, and he got a chance to do that today.
Yeah. So it gives you confidence going into New Orleans that he'll be at his best.
Yeah. Talk to Zach Bond in the locker room. The confidence from that guy about this defense, you understand, they should be confident the way they've played all year, but it was clear even against this high-powered Washington offense, they really felt like they were going to shut them down.
Yeah. And I think having guys like him just create this culture on that defense of guys with a chip on their shoulder, guys who people didn't believe in, guys who, were called bad draft picks or overdrafted. I mean, there's just so many guys like that on this team, and they just share a story, I guess. I mean, you look at this defense, and there's two. How many Pro Bowlers? They have 2 Pro Bowlers this year. They're number 1 defense in the league, so they're doing something right. And I just think the strength of this group is that togetherness and that sense of we're playing for each other that Zach Bond talked about tonight. It's unusual. I mean, they don't play elite defense like most teams that do. They don't. I mean, they didn't intercept a lot of passes this year. They don't have anybody with double-digit sacks. They just play together. They really, really well together.
The NFC Championship game was another feather in the cap of Howie Roseman.
Yeah.
And nothing different than it's been all year, but you look out there and Saquon, Zach Bond, Oren Burks, his draft picks, every move he made in this offseason.
Huff.
Sure. Huff played.
He played, but every move.
Yeah. But I'm saying yes, I'm saying all those players today had huge games.
Yeah. No, there's no question. And, when you look at the big picture, you step back. I mean, this team has now made 3 Super Bowls under Howie Roseman in 8 years. 3 Super Bowls since he came back from his, Chip Kelly imposed exile in 2015.
And very different teams.
Different coaches, different quarterbacks. Obviously, the same coach. And Nick's now the first Eagles coach to ever make 2 Super Bowls. Jalen's the first quarterback to make 2. But 3 Super Bowls in 8 years. He's only, I believe, the 13th or 14th GM to make 3 Super Bowls as a general manager with the same team. So, and I think part of that conversation is Jeff Lurie as well, who is responsible for everything and has been just an incredible owner for so long, 30 years now. This team went to 1 Super Bowl before he bought the team.
Yeah, we probably don't talk about Jeffrey enough.
They've been to 4 since he bought the team, and he came in and changed everything. He changed the culture. He built the NovaCare complex, built a new stadium. He beefed up a non-existent scouting department. They were more diligent about who the GM was going to be, who the head coach was going to be. He just brought order to a franchise that honestly had very, very little. When they won, it was almost by accident before he bought the team. Now it's all part of a very structured vision and plan. Since 2000 now, gosh, they've had 5 losing seasons and 4 Super Bowls. So only 1 fewer Super Bowl than losing seasons since 2000, which to me is the kind of start of this run, this long 25-year run where they've only been out of the playoffs 8 times, I think, during that stretch. I mean, this is a really remarkable stretch of sustained success under Jeff Lurie over a quarter of a century, and under Howie since he came back from exile.
He's the 12th owner in NFL history to advance to 4 Super Bowls. And this is a cool stat from the Eagles. He's one of 3 owners to earn at least 4 Super Bowl berths with 3 different head coaches.
Yeah.
So that's like, if you're Kraft in New England, you get Belichick. It's all Belichick. I mean, this is just a well-run organization from top to bottom, and it shows. And if you need any more proof about how important ownership is, look at the Commanders, the team they just played. I mean, they were just a nothing franchise until Daniel Snyder sold that team.
It's true. And
as much as everyone in this town might hate Josh Harris, like, he has turned that franchise around.
Yeah, no question about it. And I love those Lurie stats. And I don't know if people appreciate him enough in this city. I think he's one of the best owners ever in the NFL. And those stats prove it.
Yeah, they certainly do. He deserves a ton of credit. I have some leftovers from this game.
Okay.
You want to get to?
Like leftovers.
Can we talk about the funniest moment I've ever seen in the football game?
Yeah, let's do it. I know what it's going to be.
When Hockley becomes a dad on a long road trip and is yelling to the back seat to the Commanders. I did not know this rule.
I didn't either.
It's always fun to learn something that, people always say that about baseball. Like, you always see something different you've never seen. Football, I mean, there's some of these things I've never seen before. I'm trying to find the quote. Washington has been advised that at some point the referee can award a score. That was Sean Hockley.
Yeah. Who seemed really amused by the whole thing.
Yeah, it was, at a certain point, like, okay, Frankie Louver, you're trying to time the snap count. You can't keep getting a free shot jumping over the line like this.
Yeah, and I get the thinking. He's thinking, like, if I just nail one of these, it's a 3-yard loss. Mm-hmm. And if I get called for the penalty, they can't move the ball any closer. So, like, what do I have to lose? But it was kind of cheesy.
Here's the pool report with Sean Hockley.
I love that there's a pool report.
Yeah, this is Zach Berman, who was the pool reporter here in Philadelphia.
He's taken over admirably for me.
Yeah, he used to be the pool. What's it like being the pool reporter?
There's a lot of pressure, Dave.
Well, it's pressure, but it also, like,
it's kind of fun.
It's fun, but it cuts into your locker room time. You got to go and talk to the referee.
Yeah.
Is it always in person, or is it a phone call? For
me, it's been in the ref's locker room. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. You get escorted in there by a PR guy and security guy, and it's kind of cool though.
Okay. So the first question was a sequence at the goal line with QB sneaks. How was it determined that they were unfair acts by Commanders linebacker Frankie Louver?
Zach loves this stuff.
Hockley, simply put, a team can't commit multiple fouls in an effort to prevent the score. So he jumped the ball a couple of times. That was when the warning came in. Again, if it's meant to prevent a score, we can essentially award the score.
Who gets credit for the touchdown? Ed Hockley?
He gives it to his dad?
Maybe.
This is Sean Hockley. Right?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, Ed Hockley gets a touchdown?
Yeah.
I like that. Give it the pops?
Yeah.
I don't know. How does that get awarded? Just nothing like a...
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how that gets awarded. I'm trying so hard to concentrate. People are watching that Chiefs-Bills game outside. There was just a deep pass, incomplete Josh Allen to Dalton Kincaid.
On fourth down.
So the Chiefs take over. Not a done deal yet. Bills have, I don't know why I'm giving play-by-play to a game everyone's already watched and it's already over by the time they listen to this.
Anyway.
Lincoln.
Oh, yeah.
The bald eagle.
Okay.
His best performance of the year.
Really?
Holy cow.
Really?
Just like the Eagles offense and Jalen Hurts, Lincoln's a gamer, man. I mean, I couldn't have envisioned a better route from the top of the stadium to the handler on the field. At the end, they had the giant flag out there. Like they go big flag in the playoffs. Lincoln soared all the way around, came back, and then went right over the flag.
Whoa.
It was pretty cool.
You remember Lincoln Kennedy? He was a right tackle for the Raiders for a long time in the 90s.
I thought this was going to be like the Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy. Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln thing.
No, but there was a kid named Mark Bowden on my street, and he went to our elementary school, which was Longfellow. And as my dad liked to point out, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow went to Bowden. So Bowden went to Longfellow, and Longfellow went to Bowden.
So it is similar to
it is really similar. But Lincoln Kennedy played for the Falcons and the Raiders. He was like a 3 or 4-time Pro Bowl offensive lineman, right tackle for a lot of years in the 90s and early 2000s. Lincoln Kennedy once said, "I was thinking about running for president, but I was afraid I would get shot."
It's a good line.
Which is a great quote.
Yeah. Commanders fans took over the Hard Rock in Center City.
Yeah, that's perfect.
The
Hard Rock.
That was very funny. I was happy to see how. I'll be honest. I forgot there was a Hard Rock in Philadelphia.
I was on a flight with a guy who was the manager of a Hard Rock, and he told me, he said, "We're not a restaurant. We're a T-shirt store that makes hamburgers." I thought it was he nailed it perfectly. He said, like, our revenue comes from our store, from our shirts and our hoodies and our caps, and then we make some food.
So much funny stuff. Like online, Eagles fans having a field day with that.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. I saw one that was like another franchise that hasn't been viable since the early 90s.
I like the Hard Rock. They have some good concerts there, here and there.
There were some that were like, you didn't storm Normandy, you went to the Hard Rock Cafe in Philadelphia.
Okay.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
I'm trying to draw this out long enough so that we see who wins this freaking game in the AFC.
Are we allowed to tell everyone about Friday, our plans Friday?
Yeah, I think we can.
We'll be at McGillen's, which will be fun.
Don't have all the details. It'll be a big Q&A. We've done one each week throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, McGillen's kind of at, I guess, like Sansom and 13th and Sansom-ish.
Mm-hmm.
It's been there forever. Good bar. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun going to these Q&As and seeing what people are thinking. The vibe in there today was great.
Yeah.
The place was rocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. You can just tell the difference just walking around the parking lot. And yeah.
Well, a lot of confidence from Eagles fans going into this one.
Yeah. Everyone who's asking me who's going to win, I just kept telling them Washington just to get them upset. Like, what I say doesn't matter. But yeah, it was. I mean, we were showing on post game we had aerials of different parts of the city where the celebrations were. I guess there's like traditional corners, Upper Broad Street and in the Northeast, and you just see these like thousands of people, and it's just like there aren't many things that bring everyone in the city together, and sports is one of them, and it's really cool to see. It breaks down a lot of barriers. It's one of the reasons I love it so much.
Yeah, it's cool seeing it. AJ Brown was someone asked AJ Brown if he's going to go down there. He's like, I'm not going down there, but it's cool to see. I do remember that was one of the coolest things after Super Bowl 52 was being in the locker room and all the players looking on their phones, seeing the scene back in the city. And in that moment, they just wanted to get the heck out of there and be back in Philly.
Yeah. We're going to another Super Bowl, Dave.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And of course, we'll have daily pods from the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
We'll probably take a lot of questions. Maybe we'll have some guests.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have a lot of guests on Radio Row.
Yeah. It's different. It's going to be different than Arizona. Everything was spread out in Arizona. Like, remember the Chiefs was like an hour north of the city. Eagles media stuff was like an hour south of the city. I think everything's going to be in the city. I covered a Super Bowl in New Orleans quite a while ago, and it's kind of cool because everything's right there, and you can walk to everything. And if there's 20,000 Eagles fans in Phoenix, nobody knows. You see, there's an Eagles fan. If they're in New Orleans, I mean, people will know.
All right, Reuben, we know what it's going to be. It's a rematch of Super Bowl 57, Super Bowl 59, Eagles Chiefs.
Where have we seen that before? I mean, the storylines are going to write themselves. The rematch angle, the Andy Reid angle, the Chiefs fired Nick Sirianni angle. We'll dredge that one up.
There's a certain backup quarterback in Kansas City we might want to talk to.
Yeah, how about that? Carson Wentz versus the Eagles in a Super Bowl. I mean, yeah, I guess there was somewhat of an inevitability. You've been on the Chiefs all year, even though I didn't think they were very good. I thought the Bills were going to win this game. Boy, Sean McDermott's lost to Andy 4 times. in the last 5 postseasons.
They're inevitable, man. Like the AFC,
Andy fires them and then beats them 4 straight playoffs.
the AFC played out exactly how you thought it would. The Chargers with an early exit. The Bills move on only to get beat up by the Chiefs.
Yeah. Matt Collins had 3 catches for 73 yards and a touchdown. It was just another day where Matt Collins and Will Shipley were the stars in the conference championship games. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of familiar faces out there in Kansas City. Tom Melvin, Matt Nagy's there, Spags,
Ken Flagel, Brett Veach.
Yeah, their GM who started out under Howie. I mean, you can make a case they're the 2 best GMs in football, and they both. Brett Veach started out as a coaching intern here, and then wanted to go into scouting. And and I believe he was Matt Nagy's top wide receiver at Delaware. So, and Rick Burkholder, Chiefs trainer, been with Andy since '99.
Eagles are 1.5 point underdogs in this game.
First time they've been underdogs in quite a while.
Yeah, 1.5 is,
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with that, but they'll love to feed into that underdog thing. Look, the Chiefs they're going for a three-peat here. It's never been done.
Yeah.
There's a lot of history on the line, but I'm sure the Eagles who played them on an ice rink in Phoenix are pretty happy to get them again.
On a real field. Yeah. Steelers won 4 out of 6. Nobody's ever won 3 in a row. Boy, I like the Eagles in this game. It's a great matchup. I'm going to have to move the Bills out of the top spot, my top 10.
I think so.
Not sure who I'll have number 1, but can't wait. It's going to be a fun week.
It's going to be a fun 2 weeks leading up to this game. We've got a lot more pods coming for you guys. I'm sure I haven't looked at the inbox yet, but I'm sure there's probably a ton of emails already flowing in. If you're ready to send us one, go ahead and do it. eagleeye@nbcuni.com, a QR code on the screen. I just realized I put my glasses on to watch the end of that game and that they're still on. Send us that email. If you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. Rube, any final words?
No. See everybody in Louisiana.
All right. This has been Eagle Eye presented by Nissan. Celebrate a little bit. One more game to go. We'll talk to you soon.